Welcome back to Vessel Health Talks. We get together every Thursday. Our whole community is invited. Investors, doctors, patients, clinicians, regulators, everyone who is a deep believer in the mission for regenerative medicine and the potential of Vessel to transform care. It comes together and we go through each week the milestones, things we've completed, how we're making the world a better place with our regenerative medicine. Today, we're going to be focusing on AI transformation within Hemostemix. This is a really interesting, exciting presentation, and I will now share my screen, and we're going to dig into, really what is potentially one of the most important topics of our time. My background, again, my name is Kroom Lawrence. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer for Hemostemix. I've been about 25 years in healthcare commercialization with a heavy digital focus, having built out several digital centers of excellence on the client and agency side with large multinational companies. A digital transformation and the advancement of personalization is not new. It's been around really since at least the iPhone. But one-to-one marketing and the ability to personalize care and to, in the healthcare context, to drive behavior change is essential. And so today we're going to talk about the next generation of care, which is now AI powered. We're going to dig into a little bit of those trends. We focus on differentiating our kind of care and the implications for shareholder value. Our agenda is going to be reviewing what we're doing as a longevity clinic offering stem cell therapy. And as we've talked every time, our ability now globally and now in the US, state by state, where regulations allow, to now deliver care with Vessel, which is an investigational stem cell treatment that helps regenerate blood vessels, thereby improving inflammation, improving healing with clinical safety and efficacy data in 9 phase 1 and phase 2 studies in critical ischemia, in angina, and PAD, and other indications that we'll unpack shortly. So today we're talking about our view on AI transformation, how we will differentiate with a unique kind of care, and a little bit about our head start, what we're doing now and what's coming next. The AI maturity model is interesting. Everyone is constantly, I'm sure, reading and following and tracking along with some of the amazing things happening with artificial intelligence. As of now, we have consumer level AI tools like chatbots, we have the LLMs, we have now roll-ups across SaaS software that is now more cohesive, that's sort of busting down silos. But essentially, I think the key point in care and in communications is that LLM models really look backwards. They have digested all of human knowledge. Now, using those tools means we have a good, up-to-date PhD level across every single topic known to humanity, but it does look back. Whereas now we're pivoting in the next 12 to 24 months closer to true general intelligence, self-learning AI, where there will be machine-to-machine communications with an ethos, where our ethics and our truth-seeking must be clear. But there will be discovery of net new physics and invention like we have never seen. So we are tracking along with these changes and moving very quickly. As I turn to care, one of the most important things for us is that pain is a common denominator across all of our conditions. So, for those who know us, we work in peripheral arterial disease, chronic limb-threatening ischemia, angina, ischemic cardiomyopathy, non-ischemic dilated cardiomyopathy, congestive heart failure, total body ischemia. This is where there's damage to blood vessels and there are implications to brain, to heart and organs, to skin with wounds, and to limb. And pain is a common denominator. I'm going to speak to the role of pain to make it real for you as I unpack our clinical approach and our approach to stem cell therapy. We are operating with a strategic innovation framework, which is 3 main pillars. One is differentiating innovations in care, which is all about personalization and diagnostics, engagement, and the stem cell therapy itself, so we can personalize journeys and get better outcomes. It's not always just about the stem cells. Human beings need greater support before, during, and after to get optimal care. We're focused on that. Number two is generating faster advancements in our clinical and scientific breakthroughs. So how are the clinical trials being conducted? How can we get to faster, unique scientific breakthroughs that can be through phase 1, 2, and 3 clinical studies, through to the FDA? AI will help us accelerate that research with greater predictive analytics. And then operational efficiency overall as an organization. I think everyone is now being exposed to streamlining workflows, balancing human to machine roles, where machines can now replace human activities. And then we never forget about the absolute critical nature of humans in our process. And we've been recently talking a lot about the important role of nurse practitioners. They are the ones holding the hands of patients, creating an emotional connection. That person can never go away. And that's a little bit about our ethics and how we think about care and the nurturing that has to happen. And that's especially critical in the context of pain. So each innovation that we talk about today will be focused on patient-physician benefit, the emotional connection, the ethical connection that we have to deliver, and shareholder value creation. All those things go together. There are major disruptions to all software as a service solutions. So many of the thought leaders that I follow basically say all the legacy software will now be rewritten and will be reprogrammed as AI first software. I follow Palantir. I'm following NVIDIA. I like Chamath from the All In podcast. They are talking about software factories that are going from siloed AI tools, essentially, where you have a mixed basket of logos, to connecting all the isolated tasks into more contiguous workflows. That's something we've been striving for 20 years. So all of our journey-based solutions around patient care have always been built on data and technology stacks, but they still have been siloed. Now the AI software that will be developed will be more contiguous across the organization to have a more cohesive central data set and brain. We also are experiencing net new physics, which is astounding. So take a look at Neuralink. We've recently published on the role of Vessel to improve the fidelity of brain implants. So we are leaning into this trend, but it is mind-blowing, the opportunity to put an implant into someone's brain where they can move a cursor. Now they can use a computer, future state use a car, and also then to implant in a limb, to have a prosthetic that can move with your thoughts, or if someone has severed spine, for example, to now have your limbs functioning again, where the devices now can connect parts of the body together. It's amazing, and everyone should follow it. Network effects are essential to driving shareholder value. I like Seth Joseph at Summit Health Advisors. I think he does the best job of talking about network effects, where the true unicorns in healthcare that generate extraordinary returns are those that are built on these platforms that have the network effects. Specifically, while there are many network effects, in the best practice hopper, the most important principle is that the data is compounding over time, coming from consumers, which improves the experience, and there's a flywheel that gets going where data comes in, experience gets better, consumers love it more, and you've seen that across Uber and Airbnb and Google and all the other companies that we see every single day. Those are all network companies. That now has to happen in healthcare and has been happening. And Seth does a great job at identifying that. I'd recommend you look at his material. One of the key things about care is never forgetting the person inside the patient. And let's take a moment and talk about how do we talk to people. So as a brand, as a clinic, as care providers, we talk about functional navigation, helping people understand simply what to do. How do they get care? Number two is educational navigation, the mind. How do we train and educate so consumers will know what they need to know about care? And then ethical navigation. What do we stand for? What is our mission, our values? How does that appeal to the soul? What do we believe? These are the three things that make the best in class healthcare brands today. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Behavior change in healthcare depends on the physician agreeing and granting a healthcare product and patients requesting and agreeing that that's the right one for them. If the patient doesn't agree with therapy, they're not going to take it. They're not going to take their medicine. They're going to have poor compliance, poor adherence. The therapeutic benefit will not accrue. And that really has been sort of the reality of healthcare through today, where compliance and adherence has been abysmal. And as a result, care and outcomes have been obviously subpar as we look at U.S. population data. And we talked a little bit about that last time, but there are a lot of emotional and rational reasons why patients do not want to take medicine, and we can unpack that in Q&A or in future discussions. But our goal is to get physicians and patients to agree that this is the right therapy for them, and that alignment is how we think. The next is behavior change for patients really depends on them understanding certain things. They need to understand their disease in terms of its symptoms and labels. What is the condition that I have? What are the consequences that will accrue? Will those consequences happen? The timing to onset of certain diseases or pain, the cause of the pain and controllability. Can I do anything about it? What is the possibility of slowing progression or moving past a condition? These are the things that are based on the trans-theoretical model that has been developed over many decades. But when patients understand these 5 things, they begin to agree and believe that they understand what they have, they understand the consequences, they believe they can do something about it, and now they're willing to go forward. And it's especially important in the context of pain, where there really is an adaptation spectrum, where patients in pain, if anyone who's had dental pain or any other severe pain on the call, you have this acute, sharp pain where you tough it out, you want to push through it, and you sort of have this active resistance where you might get medication, you might blow off going to the doctor. When the pain worsens, you're shocked by that pain severity, you're viewing a physician as a collaborative consultant. If you're enduring pain, and it's chronic, you are deconditioning. Now you're very much dependent on your doctor as a key partner. You're balancing hope and resignation. Eventually you come to phase called overwhelmed, which is pain levels 7 to 10, that is extremely severe, uncontrolled, unmanageable. Patients are now dissatisfied with their medical care. And then finally disengaged, which is really the worst part of chronic pain management, is when patients really do just give up hope. They view their medical provider as part of the problem. There's a little bit of helplessness and a frustration that there's nothing else that can be done. And these are cycles of conditioning that we have to understand to look at the data, to understand the patients that are coming in, so we can then understand how to calibrate interventions accordingly. So knowing patient stages, where they are in their journey, what targets, what is the right intervention, how do we monitor movement? That's the strategy for us behind the data we're going to capture and how we're going to build in intelligence to help people with the right techniques, whether it is gentle challenging, whether it's values clarification, whether it's pacing, mindfulness, and motivational interviewing, getting to small victories where a patient feels like they can move forward and make a difference. In the context of that, where we have to deeply understand the human, now let's pivot over to the organization itself. For Hemostemix, differentiating our innovations, faster advancement in clinical studies, and operational efficiency are our 3 pillars. One of the first things we're doing now is bringing forward AI-powered precision diagnostics. We have several partnerships in the queue. One of them is Accurist AI. We've talked about that, where we're looking at emotion, depression, cognition as markers to total body health. In other words, the memory is a very powerful marker of ischemic disease. There are 25 different diseases in general that make up overall cardiovascular health. We focus on vascular health itself, and that can be detected in cognitive studies. What's powerful and nice about this is that it can be remote, it can be done over telemedicine, so we can have advanced machine learning screenings that are very affordable, where patients can get started. They can have a very, very accurate marker of where they are in their memory and cognition, that we can then track that decline over time. This is not just for our vascular dementia effort, but it's for overall total body ischemia, overall longevity planning and care. Second is expanding our data sets with more predictive precision medicine. So we will continue to look at new data sets that are HIPAA compliant, and they'll be any number of use cases that come back at the top of our funnel, the middle of our funnel, where patients are qualifying to getting care, to following up at the end of the journey, where they're seeing results, and they're able then to have a long-term sustainable care plan that really does result in longevity for them. When you have vascular disease, you might have something in a particular limb, heart, or brain, but overall body health is essential. I think everybody is tracking along with the damage caused by the Western diet and all the things there. We're going to continue to expand our data sets to improve our intelligence. Part of our now as well is our AI-powered chatbot, powered by HubSpot. It's amazing. That is live now. We have engagement and decision support. It's essentially our own proprietary LLM that has ingested all of our data, our clinical studies. And so you can now query that data and all of our publications to have much more in-depth Q&A. That creates a good experience, especially if there's any stigma around asking tough questions, or if you don't have access to a physician, or your appointments are delayed and you can't talk to your doctor for several months. There are also obviously operational benefits that accrue to us. An example would be a no-option patient with chronic limb-threatening ischemia receives vessel therapy. They're tracking with our AI-powered chatbot and our diagnostics to understand their treatment protocol, and that there are post-treatment reminders and chats that support lifestyle changes that help reduce pain and improve mobility. So our objective here with our AI strategy is, yes, stem cell therapy, have that safely delivered, achieving efficacy related to the stem cell therapy, but also wrapping it in communications and lifestyle support so that that disease can be mitigated as much as possible from a lifestyle perspective and help that patient achieve better longevity. Accelerating research and predicting outcomes is a huge area of AI transformation. Medrio, our partner in this respect, has numerous offerings around AI research acceleration, predictive analytics, intelligent trial matching. And so we can essentially now screen more patient profiles in just a very, very short time, instantaneously, to help get the right patients enrolled in our trials, which creates speed and efficiencies, which we think is very compelling. There are also a number of things we're doing in this bucket around streamlining data sets, administration, resource allocation. So we are looking at all of our partners, best-in-class, Medrio, IQVIA, Epic, HubSpot, et cetera, that really combine our commercial communications through HubSpot, our clinical trial experience through Medrio, our clinical experiences with Epic, infused with obviously the gold standard and healthcare data worldwide as IQVIA as one of our key partners. And so we will be looking at our administrative workflows, anything around resource allocation, our unified data ecosystem, and then continuous proactive compliance and security is also one of the key table stakes. We're focused on real world journey implementation. This is the true north for us. That can really only happen on a unified data ecosystem. The four main pillars in our journey are initial awareness and assessment. Patients believe they may be qualified. They are seeking care with one of our healthcare providers or with one of our referring partners. They then are qualified. They understand then how to access our innovative payment options. They then are doing the blood draw. The therapy is administered 7 days later. Then they pivot to outcomes monitoring, where we have ongoing nurturing, data collection, reporting, adverse event reporting, and all the things that you expect. So for us, part of that is a better patient experience. They understand the value they're getting in every step, but physicians experience greater confidence in the treatment itself. They understand and appreciate essentially how easy it is. We make it for our providers to have confidence in the therapy, expectations of outcomes, and obviously as much reduction in administrative burden as possible. So expectations and next steps. As mentioned, we expect faster commercial and trial enrollment, operational cost reduction, and essentially improved outcomes across the board. Vascular outcomes, cognitive outcomes in the case of our vascular dementia, and obviously pain outcomes are part of our investigational studies. Integrating precision medicine diagnostics, integrating predictive analytics, which we can go further into at a good moment, having the right partnerships, moving from essentially siloed or SaaS data sets or one-offs into better integrated, fully holistic experiences powered by AI. And so the now is we have the technology infrastructure, we have expanded data access, we have smarter clinical validations, we have smarter patient qualification. And so this is our promise on creating sustainable competitive advantage while delivering better outcomes and shareholder value. And so that is where I will conclude. That's about 22 minutes. I think that's got to be enough. And we can pivot over to any Q&A. I'll just mention that if you're a patient or a physician on the call and you'd like to speak with someone about care, please reach out to me directly. I'd be very happy to help you, or reach out to our CEO, Thomas Smink, who's on the line. If you're an investor, please speak with Thomas as well. And if you are in the Med Affairs group or clinical area, we'd love to connect you with our Chief Medical Officer, Fraser Henderson. I would just commend you also to please look for his scientific presentation on YouTube that I think is extraordinary and showing each of our studies one by one and helping to understand how safe Vescel can be and also where patients can be qualified appropriately for Vescel therapy and potentially have a chance at fantastic outcomes. I see a question on how do I get a cognitive test? So the first step in our tends to lean more towards our vascular dementia solution is getting the MCI screen. That is the AI-powered cognitive test that is 97% accurate in detecting mild cognitive impairment. There are 2 million tests completed, which gives you a very highly accurate score to benchmark your cognition, your memory, versus what is normal for your age. Why that is important is that it's predictive of transitioning from mild cognitive impairment to Alzheimer's dementia. It is the most accurate cognitive test that is available. You can please reach out to me. It's $174 retail through our partnership with Accurist. I've done it, and I would strongly recommend anyone who is interested in longevity and cognitive care, and also the insights from what's happening in cognition to have reveal of insights what's happening in the rest of your cardiovascular health, which I mentioned earlier. There are 25 conditions that impact memory and cognition. And obviously where we play is in vascular health. That test is $174 as mentioned, and please reach out to me. Love to help you there. So thank you for this question. I see, when will trial enrollment begin for each trial type going forward? And will all the trials be user pay? So the answer to that is that phase 1 submissions for IRB is happening in September and October for vascular dementia and for the basket study for all of our vascular conditions. And then into 2020, we will get the ball rolling on phase 3 for chronic limb-threatening ischemia. The phase 1s are user pay. We will be recruiting globally and in the United States, and those treatments will be available in our clinics offshore, which will be in the Bahamas, Dominican Republic, Canada, I believe Switzerland, and Thomas, you can correct me, there's several others coming in. The point there that's essential is that FDA Commissioner and Kennedy, Head of Health and Human Services, are eager to reshore the cell and gene therapy industry so that it is back on U.S. soil. That is underway from a regulatory perspective. Until that time, we will be asking our trial participants to pay, and we'll be able to help them get therapy in our sites in the locations that I've mentioned. Now, there's a good question here. How do I get in line for a treatment, and should I buy a therapy convertible debenture? So let me just unpack that for a moment. So as it relates to our manufacturing, how it works, because these are custom cell therapies where we take a blood draw, it goes to our FDA compliant laboratory in Puerto Rico. The cells are recultured, delivered back to the physician for reinjection within 7 days. We have a very clear line of sight to our unit forecasts, the capacity at our facilities. And then how you get in line is by reaching out to me or through any of our other sort of ways into our clinical care, through our clinician partners, et cetera. and start the qualification process. So step one is identifying for you an appropriate candidate for therapy. That happens, with our trained clinicians. And then the second step after that is accessing our innovative payment solutions, of which there are at least three. One is the therapy convertible debenture, which is an opportunity to pay $37,000, reserve your spot in our manufacturing line. You'll be accruing 6% interest during that time. So it is an investment in the company. We then are able to then use that to support our operations and to produce the cells that are needed for our patients. You get in line. I think we're at 28 for this year, and then that'll obviously expand into 2026. The other two innovative options are monthly payments, of which we'll have several banks, and then our 501c3, which is our charitable organization, where we really do encourage those individuals of means to please get a therapy convertible debenture for yourself. And if you would be so kind to offer one to a patient in need, that is something that is a big deal and a big part of our care model. So we appreciate your consideration to helping those who need access to care. Okay, so those are some of the key questions coming in. I've been on statins for 20 years. However, I now experience pain in my limbs. I think I have an early form of ischemia. Can I get in line for the phase 1? So this is really essential, where we're essentially pivoting from legacy health, where patients are on statins and heart medications and beta blockers and all the good things that have been important for the last 20 years. Yet some individuals, if they continue to worsen, if they get closer to no option care, and if there is pain, for example, in lower legs, where there's peripheral arterial disease, if there's numbness, and even further, if there is gangrene, open wounds, that is a clear signal that more care is needed. Until now, it has been thought that there are, quote, no options. But indeed, Vessel is that new option. We are speaking with the podiatry and the cardiology community so that they understand that there is a new option that they can recommend to patients in need before that ischemia worsens and leads to an amputation, which we know leads to significant mortality. And our phase 2 data shows safety and efficacy in samples of 20 in our trial and 8 in our placebo group, that's reversing that course and delivering healing and limb salvage. And we walk through that data often. So getting in line then means please reaching out to me or to Thomas on the line, and we'll make sure to get you scheduled. And we're excited to have a qualification discussion with you. Okay, thank you again for this question. So it's a really good one coming in. Explain, please, how your AI-based platform will protect my healthcare records that I share with you. That is absolutely essential and a must-have. Data security is a absolute top-tier priority. We work with best-in-world platform providers. The logos I mentioned earlier, you'll recognize them. Spot is essentially our commercial and inbound marketing database that is solely customer records and engagement, so we can understand where you are in your journey, essentially at the top and middle funnel, as you seek qualification with us. That's the point where you would then pivot to a best-in-class electronic medical records database that is HIPAA protected, privacy safe, in all the ways that you would expect. And then Medrio is, again, another world-class platform that is privacy safe, where personal health information is exclusively protected there with the dedicated purpose of clinical trial support. We can go much further in on that topic, but data security is paramount, as everybody knows. Okay, so another excellent question. When can we expect to hear from one or more, this is a great one, of our 498 patients treated? So as you may know, the scientific discovery and development process at Hemostemix has been going on for over 20 years. 498 patients have been treated with Vessel, and so we have a very large base of patients and patient data where we can see safety and efficacy as published in peer-reviewed studies. We have many of them. Many of our patients are passionate about our solution. We're going to hear actually from some of them this week. These are patients that treated, I think at least 10 years ago, and they will talk about the impact in their lives of getting stem cell therapy, their experience of the treatment, their experience of what they felt when they started feeling better, and then sort of the durability of Vescel itself over the years. And so we're going to learn a lot by talking to those patients. And that obviously gives us and gives all of our community a lot of energy and excitement around the potential of Vescel care. But we have an exciting week coming up. We're going to be in Florida all this week coming, working with local healthcare providers, talking with new clinical partners, meeting with Vescel patients. And so, as everybody knows, Florida has a clear and specific regulatory set of rules around physicians being able to now recommend Vescel. Patients now will be made aware of its investigational nature, and they will be able to request Vescel. We'll obviously be helping to qualify those patients if they're appropriate for therapy, and so we're excited about Florida. There are several other states in the queue that are coming up fast also that appreciate being able to bring essentially this breakthrough therapy to patients. And again, as everybody I think knows, if you've been with us before, an autologous stem cell therapy is from a patient's own blood. It is safe. There are no immunological rejections. There's no other contamination. And so that's what makes it efficacious and exciting as a breakthrough therapy. There's a lot of great things happening. We appreciate everybody's support. I think the key takeaway from this session is that every company going forward needs an AI strategy. There has been a lot of work in healthcare for the last 20 years on how to use data, personalization, and digital channels effectively. There are partners that are very mature that also have advanced AI strategies. We are moving forward methodically, carefully, so that we are delivering therapy safely, qualifying patients appropriately, getting patients into our trials safely, and delivering care. And we're excited to continue to unpack what we think is unique, not only about Vescel, but about our clinical experiences, about our ability to personalize, to wrap around longevity and lifestyle and care plans to help our patients defeat the Western diet. We know everyone's on that journey. Thank you so much for your time. We're grateful to have you in our community, and please join us again, and we'll unpack all the excitement that's thanks again.